Hey, welcome to update number 2 from Bluebird Gardens. You know what? These are tomatoes for the year 2012. And why were these started so early? Well, they're going to be transplanted into our main greenhouse like right away in March, and they're going to each have their own pod, and they're going to become the huge tomatoes that will become part of our high tunnel operation. And so that's what all the plants down here are about. They're downstairs in our house. And as soon as the weather gets a little warmer and a little better, they're heading out to the greenhouse. So your first food is on the way, and they're giving me just huge whiffs of tomato. It's a beautiful smell. Come close and you'll smell it too. And so last week, in our YouTube last week, we were talking about one of the niches of our farm, and that's that our farm is your farm. So we were talking about the harvest events in the last YouTube, which are just a huge part of making you be part of our farm, and we love the harvest events. But when you drive away from our farm, on the other side of the signs, you read about biological farming, and the deeper we get into it, the more we realize that's almost the biggest niche for Bluebird Gardens, is raising food that's nutritionally dense for you. And so right beside me is a bag of fertilizer. Yeah, it's NPK. There's 3 elements in that bag of fertilizer. And we could probably save about $50,000 if we fertilize that way. And even though the picture of the vegetables on the bag are beautiful, they're empty. And so last week, Jim and I were at a soil conference in Brainerd and learning again and again why biological farming is so important. And so what exactly is it? Well, there's kind of 4 legs on the stool of biological farming. The first one briefly is that we have to balance all the elements in the soil, all of them, not just NPK. Here's a cool ad. It's in the Acres magazine, and it's just about how it's saying that when the world was created, all of the elements of the periodic table were in our soil, and so all those elements were there for our plants to use, and that's nature's plan. And so, but then they said, and these are in your fertilizer bag. Yeah, these 3 elements. And empty food, is grown when we just do those 3 elements. So a lot of products from the sea have all of those elements in there. We were learning too about sharks and how they never age. And it's because they are living in a sea of all the elements in the soil, all of the minerals in the soil, and so they don't age. Isn't that exciting? And so a lot of the products we use on our farm are from the ocean, because that's where you get the whole spread of all the elements in the soil. And so we're learning about how when plants have photosynthesis occur, there's a huge line of things they produce, and these top 3 are just simple sugars. And if you use only NPK, you get plants with simple sugars. And when Jim and I were at the Minnesota Organic Conference, the keynote speaker was talking about how the health of dairy cattle over the decades is waning, it's dropping, it's plummeting. But that's because we're raising more corn per acre, but with less minerals, meaning the food is empty. And so that food is kind of in these top 3 categories of simple sugars that do not make animals healthy or people either. And then the following week at the Minnesota Fruit and Vegetable Growers Conference, we heard a doctor tell about how the obesity levels are just changing, and he showed on a map how every state changed from decade to decade, and how now we have over 30% of our people being obese. But that's because, once again, we're eating these simple sugars. So we're eating high energy, empty food. And so that's why our crusade at Bluebird Gardens is so huge, to get down to these things that do make us healthy. And what do we need there? We need to balance all of the chemistry in the soil, which really builds the house for the biology. All the bacteria, the fungi, the earthworms, so they can work their magic. And then our job is to feed feed all that life in the soil with all the cover crops that we use extensively. And the whole product, the product of it all, is just magic. It's flavor, it's nutritional density, And as we get deeper and deeper into using this approach, we're going to realize that that is, the biggest niche at Bluebird Gardens, because when we get down to these further change where we have like amino acids and you get enough of those together, they make vitamins and the proteins that we need. And these are long, long, long chains. You know what they're held together by? The micronutrients, the copper, the zinc, the manganese. Those are the little links which are not in most soils. They weren't in ours till we started adding them. But when you start adding all of those things to the soil, then nature can fulfill its plan and bring the food to you that you deserve. And so biological farming is really bigger than even the harvest events. Yes, it's our biggest gift that we give you at Bluebird Gardens. And so any food you buy, you should ask about. People can talk big about nutritional density, but what are they doing, to make nutritional density happen? And that's what we're just so excited about. This week, in fact, tomorrow, we're heading to the Moses Organic Conference to learn more about soil health, and all we can do, we'll never stop learning. If we ever on our farm think we know it all to do this all, then we may as well be dead, because there is so much to learn, and we're excited to have you be part of that. And so we're thrilled to have you part of our CSA, and we are doing what's the very best for you. So thank you for listening to this update.